Shoutouts here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalal.
Phil, we heard from some football players.
We did, yeah. No tweets during practice, though.
No.
Sean Payton
my thumbs
took away
were
those little tweets.
My thumbs were restless.
Yeah. What were you doing?
I was like pretending to tweet. You couldn't even have your phone out. That's the rule.
Yeah, no phones out.
I like it.
Yeah.
No nonsense.
No, you had to actually watch practice now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see you or Ben Swanson out there.
I was out there.
For the whole thing?
Yeah.
You don't
Yes,
have
I
to,
was.
You don't have to lie.
I was out there. I was working,
Oh, okay.
and I was out there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It was a long practice, Phil.
It was for, what is today, May 25th?
It is. I think that is the day.
It's a nice practice. We should mention that today's a special day for young Ben Swanson.
He's back in the studio. That's why.
He's back in the studio, and it's also his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay, bring in the balloons. I guess everybody got it.
Happy birthday to you.
We'll clip this part out and send it to your mom.
Happy
Clip it out of the podcast if you want to.
dear Swanson.
Swanson is now.
Happy birthday to you.
Wow, thank you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Many more.
Thank you.
So now you can rent a car, right?
Yeah.
That's
and,
nice.
like, drink and do all sorts of things.
That's what you'll have to do after this podcast.
Yes.
Rent a car and drink. Perfect.
What do you think's in
He
this
said
cup?
it. He said it.
Ben
yeah.
Swanson
He
did
said
say it.
He said
We don't approve of that
Yeah.
behavior.
How does it feel to be back? We missed you.
It's
Missed
nice.
you.
Just went home for an extended weekend. So
To the woods.
yeah, and
The cabin.
I think last Thursday I was out on the town with Bucky being reinstalled atop.
The Bucky. More popular than you'd expect.
Bucky, of course, had to be taken off of the scoreboard, his home.
Correct.
Yep. Uh-huh.
That's where he lives. They took him off of
He's
there.
too good for his home.
They rebuilt it. He did some renovations,
Yeah.
and now he's back home.
And
He had some
Swanson, hold on.
renovations,
Yeah,
Phil, what did they find inside of Bucky?
gold. He's
No.
made out of pure gold.
You
Huh?
want to guess? You want to guess again? They found something in one of his hooves.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You clearly didn't read Ben Swanson's story on
They found
DenverBroncos.com.
something in his
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
They did.
A tooth. Oh, body part. like somebody
Somebody's finger.
A bone. Yeah.
Kind of. Jimmy Hoffa.
What did they find, Swanson?
They found newspapers from when he was first built.
Oh.
Way back in the 1830s.
Apparently, his hooves were.
His what?
His hooves were.
Hooves.
Were there multiple hoofs involved in this or just one
Yeah,
hoof?
so
One hoof.
Bucky is mounted to the top of the scoreboard.
I know.
3 mounts. 2 of them are his back hooves. And so
That is just a silly word.
I guess there was some
Oof.
damage to his hooves. They had to rebuild them.
Every-
Y'all are in a
every time-
weird mood.
Hooves.
Y'all are.
Every time you say,
His feet.
Yeah, there you go.
His
His
feet.
feet.
yeah,
Does he have horseshoes?
he's got wear slippers
think
because he's
so.
at home. Yeah, get him some slippers up
That's
there.
true. Yeah, get nice and cozy.
I don't think fans really understand how big the scoreboard is going to be.
Oh, it's enormous.
It is huge.
It's going to be one of the biggest scoreboards you've ever seen.
4th largest in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
When
it
I-
comes back.
So when they first took him off, I went to the stadium. I
Like
was
400
on the,
Swansons.
I was on the
It's
top
like they popped
level.
the top.
Yeah. I was on the
That's what I
top
was
level. You come out into the upper deck, and you're just kind of level with like where Bucky is.
Yeah.
I went back there for when they reinstalled him, expecting to kind of the same thing.
And it was
And
higher.
yeah, you're like, I got to go all the way up to the very top.
That's crazy.
Hey,
The very top of the stadium, just
Yeah.
to get
He
like
looks
level
small.
with the top of
It's
the
Swanson's
scoreboard.
birthday. He can tell a bad story if he wants to.
is the perspective is different though? He looks much smaller
I'm sorry.
now. Right?
What did
Yeah.
I thought I heard that article was one of the best. That
it
we've
was
done.
a
One of the best, one of the top
I
articles.
think it was the
Yeah.
hooves.
And I don't
Yeah.
know how many you've written that have.
Oh,
hooves.
yeah, I don't do the Hoove articles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like some
Denverbroncos.com beef right here.
It had a nice
Some
run
transaction
until
that you worked
Javonte
really
Williams
hard on.
returned to practice.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. Reroute
Yeah.
back to
Yeah, boom.
back to the pod. Okay.
Well, what did we get Swanson? What did you get Swanson's for his birthday? Because I got him a nice new easel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hasn't
I
gotten
got
it
him
yet.
some
but
clays.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought he might start to working with some clay.
yeah,
you
maybe
know?
do a Bucky.
Yeah, a miniature of
hooves.
his own. But
I do have to say, in the last podcast, the part about the flannel not working with the rain was
yeah,
kind
it
of
doesn't.
interesting.
It doesn't work in the rain.
Have you heard
You know
of
this.
grunge music
What?
coming from Seattle?
Nirvana?
Yeah.
You're like Nirvana, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Portland, all they do is wear flannel in the rain.
Playing in the rain.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were thinking.
But it doesn't protect against rain. It gets soaking wet.
Yeah, but then it
you
kind of
can
gives you
wear
like a nice.
something over it.
You wear another
Yeah.
flannel.
Double flannel, huh?
Yeah,
That could be nice. It's raining as we're recording today.
that's true. It's sad that OTAs are over for the day
Yeah.
and the week.
The different vibe when we record in the afternoon, much sillier. I
Yeah.
kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't know why that
I'm
is.
I'm a fan. Let's tell everybody, NZ Nation, what we're going to be talking about today.
I would
okay?
love to know,
Some
too.
OTAs observations.
What does that stand for?
Organized team activity.
Nice. I was
They did
unsure if
some
you would know
activities.
that.
They did some activities.
They did organized activities.
They were very organized.
They're
I thought
voluntary.
maybe-
We should
They
note
are
that.
voluntary, yes, of course. A lot of questions about individuals who are not in attendance. Sean Payton was not having any of that. He was like, look,
Well,
I've
he said he'd been in
communication.
contact with them.
Yeah. Made it sound like nobody was just like protesting the off-season program. You know, it didn't make it. He didn't sound like that. That's one observation. Anyway, we got more. We'll talk Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
We'll talk Javonte Williams.
Ooh, a lot going on
We'll
there.
get into the Brandon McManus news from earlier in the week.
Yeah.
He is now signed, according to Adam Schefter, a one-year deal in Jacksonville.
I think according to Jacksonville, he is.
Oh, did they put it out?
They did.
Oh, okay, so it's official now.
Yeah.
Brandon McManus, no longer a Denver Bronco.
The last remaining player from the Super Bowl 50 team.
Yeah. So what are the Broncos going to do at kicker now?
Ooh.
Well, I think Swanson.
We got a voicemail.
Yeah, we got a voicemail with
Some
some
suggestions.
Yeah. So I think Swanson could do it.
Any other topics?
One last topic to get to, Eric, and this is a favorite, I think. Jonathon Cooper
Yep.
out there wearing number 0, Eric. We'll just talk about jersey numbers a little bit, and why, Jonathon Cooper, of course, wore 0 at Ohio State.
Yep.
So, and he's got a couple of O's in his name. Just makes sense,
I think he's got 4, right?
Cooper.
I think he's got 4 O's.
Yeah, yeah, because it's Jonathon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Jonathon.
Jonathon Cooper. Yeah, so we'll get into him wearing 0 and just jersey numbers in general.
Okay.
Just some thoughts there.
Sure. Love thoughts.
Eric, this is an interactive show, We get silly. We want everybody to get silly with us. How does someone get silly?
If you want to get silly, Phil, you want to get silly with Philly, you leave an email at neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. You leave a voicemail at 707-NEUTRAL. We got a voicemail we'll play a little bit later.
We did?
You can tweet at us on Twitter at Eric Dalal with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH, 1 L.
Non-traditional spellings.
Non-traditional spelling.
1 L on the fill,
Yeah.
not on the fill up, the full.
No. 1 L in the Milani.
Yeah, it's true.
Or, Phil, perhaps our favorite way, if you want to see our smiling faces and Swanson. Swanson missed the blue
Swanson
memo.
is-
I'm
yeah.
wearing blue.
I don't
You're
know what
wearing
happened
blue.
there.
I don't know. He missed it.
Look
at that. Look at that shot. Oh,
It looks
my
beautiful.
goodness.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
What are you wearing?
Swanson
What do you
looks a
got
little
there?
bit off.
Old Navy?
No, I think this is a Banana Republic.
Oh,
That's pretty much, that's the whole wardrobe.
that's the go-to.
It's either Nike or Banana Republic.
Nice. I like that.
But no free pub.
No free pub.
Yeah.
Well,
What country club is that?
We know what I'm
it's a
wearing.
little late.
Yeah, Uncle Peter?
This is
He
Peter.
gave you that?
This is Peter.
Yeah, he came down and gave
Only
you
the
that,
best. Anyway, Phil,
You
if
want
you
to see the blue memo?
You want to see the blue? You go to the old YouTube, Broncos official YouTube page. You
Yeah.
leave a comment. We'll read it right here on the
will.
air.
Dennis Murtha. Love the show. Thank you both. That's because
Both implies no Swanson.
was not here. A couple of people, Tom Magnetti, our friend, Beach Bums 63, talking about the firemen. Which Broncos player would you want to come save you if you were in a burning building? They're going with Quinn Miners. Eric. Quinn Miners.
That big old belly going to get through a doorway?
I think so.
Okay. Maybe you gotta suck it in?
Yeah. You know, Santa's got a big belly, and he goes right down the chimney.
He's got magic.
That's true. Maybe Quinn Miners' magic. Quinn Miners'
You,
magic.
of course, said Mike McGlinchey, who after seeing him on the podium today,
a lot of fireman qualities with that individual.
Tremendous jawline.
Yeah. Which you have to consider. You have to consider it.
Yeah. I picked Kareem Jackson.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And, of course, we talked a lot about K-Jack last week, too. So.
Swanson,
you want to weigh in on that?
You picked McManus?
No, I think I went with Jonas Griffith.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Just
nice guy.
Well, we talked about in the office about someone who is like athletic enough and can go into like smaller spaces if needed, and obviously strong enough to carry one of us out of there. And so I felt like a linebacker would be
a linebacker. Yeah, somebody mentioned Josie Jewell.
Oh yeah,
outlaw. That was Nick Alamia. Jeremy says, "Does the XFL stand for Extreme Football League?"
Sure.
Still do not know the answer to that one. Okay, J. Prez Bronk, who has provided commentary for us to talk about the last several weeks here.
Yep.
This time he wants to know what's the best football movie of all time. Best football movie of all time.
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Well, he said Friday Night Lights, right?
He likes Friday Night Lights.
It's a tremendous movie.
That's a good movie.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a nice movie.
I love it.
It's a nice film.
I would probably go with that as my number 2 movie.
Oh.
Yeah, but first, teaser. First, Jerry Maguire.
Oh, is that a football movie?
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a football movie.
But it's not about like the guts and the overcoming adversity to get.
Rod Tidwell overcomes a lot of adversity.
Well, that's true, but it's not like
Von Miller posted.
It's sort of like a rom-com.
Von Miller posted it.
I love the movie. Don't get me wrong.
It's a football movie.
Okay. It's kind of like the same way Die Hard, some people say, is a Christmas movie, but it's not.
This is a football movie, I think.
Okay. You think Swanson is Jerry Maguire? Is that a football movie? Football movie.
Yeah, sure. It deals with the business of it more so.
Yeah, but, business of football.
It's still part of it. Like would you say like Draft Day is a football movie? Like
yes.
That's a football movie, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar in that vein.
Yeah, it is. I think I'll go with Remember the Titans.
Of course you would.
That's like a nice movie.
Yeah.
That's a nice film.
I like that one.
You ever seen the original Longest Yard?
I have, yeah.
Of course, that one's good. I like the Adam Sandler one too. It's kind of funny.
The Adam Sandler one's nice, yeah. Waterboy is really funny.
Yeah.
That's a nice football movie. That's a very funny movie.
The Replacement?
Is Forrest Gump a football movie?
No, so you probably think so.
I'm going to go with Jerry Maguire.
Okay. We could probably go a long time on that one.
Yeah.
We also should mention that the Denver Nuggets are heading to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. Last week, we unveiled that Eric is, in fact, a Lakers and LeBron James fan.
Just a LeBron fan. Let's be clear that if he goes to like the Warriors, I'll be on that bandwagon.
Darren Tadlock says, time to find a new My Everything, Phil. I agree.
I understand.
I agree. Edwin Espinoza, Nuggets all the way. Rick. He put the E on there. Just
disrespectful.
Just
put some disrespect on my name.
Get in there, yeah. And I think that's all the comments.
No, somebody left a comment that said we never read their comment.
Oh, that's Jasmine. Yeah. We do. Well, we've read a lot of her comments, Jasmine.
Is that who it was?
It says, hi, I've left comments the last couple of episodes. You guys haven't read them. Crying emoji.
Yeah, so just read it. Make her happy.
Anywho, great show. We will beat the Chiefs this season. There you go, Jasmine. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Jasmine.
It's been a couple of weeks. We got to kind of, if we read it every week, you would just come to expect it. But then if we, sort of a game, you know, you got to take it away, make them want it more. They'll give it, you know.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's on the Broncos official YouTube page.
Can't wait.
It's kind of nice. I like that. I like going there. Eric, let's get into our first topic of conversation, and that's our OTAs observations. We saw practice on Thursday. Got our first look at this team. Our first look at like Sean Payton out there on the same field as Russell Wilson at the same time. Your takeaways, Eric?
Yeah, they were both out there. That's
They
true.
were both out there for the first time.
I will say, normally, Phil, we were able to provide a little bit more insight into what happened during an OTA practice, potentially during a training camp practice.
You mean like some specifics?
Yeah, the fans may be a little bit confused why you're not getting the highlights during team period or the play-by-play, or this guy picked off this person. Under the new media policy, which Sean Payton has brought with him from New Orleans, it's a little bit more there's just less of that.
Yeah.
And, everything Sean Payton is doing is to win football games and to give his team an advantage. And so presumably having less info out there for other teams is helpful to this team. I think that's probably the philosophy. So
yeah, and I'll just say this as a fan myself. I think that you hear like little bits and pieces, and then all of a sudden like things get blown out of proportion, and then you're like, that really wasn't that big a deal. Yeah. Or like an injury. Sometimes somebody will be like, oh, so-and-so is not out there at the start of practice. What's going on? And then it kind of becomes a big thing. And it's like, they were just changing shoes in the locker room.
Yeah. A good example of that was today, Jerry Jeudy collided with somebody on a route.
Yep.
He left practice, not into the locker room, but just to the side of the field, and was evaluated by trainers. Sean Payton has talked about this after practice, which is why we're able to talk about it here. Had that happen with live tweeting,
in the moment,
people would have said Jerry Jeudy goes down, Jerry Jeudy on sideline with trainers,
thing.
Big issue. Whereas what ended up happening is Sean Payton went to the box. That's what we call the podium there.
Yep.
And he said, Jerry's fine. Jerry's got a thigh bruise. So still not a great moment to have happen, but certainly the lack of real-time response there probably gave it some context.
Yeah.
Prevented people from freaking out, oh, no, Jerry Judy's hurt, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, or like say like an interception. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know everything that's going on out in practice. They're working on situational stuff. They're doing all this different kind of thing.
Not trying to throw in completions, though.
No, that's a Pat Shurmur. That's not what this team's trying to do. We don't know everything that's going on in the situation. You brought it up, but I mean, yeah.
Mine was more of a reference.
Yeah, and
you were like, that was this guy.
I made it clear. Yeah. And then you're like, oh gosh, so and so's not having a good OTAs.
Yeah.
They threw this interception, or like so and so's having a great OTA. He had this pick. Yeah. We're seeing a very small window into everything that's going on.
And
so
we should know.
I kind of like it.
We're seeing one OTA per week.
Yeah, that's what I just think it's good to not blow things out of proportion.
All of that said, two things really stand out to me, Phil. One, probably number one, which I'm going to talk about it first. Javonte Williams, back out there on the field. We can't discuss, again, how involved he was, but I would say the sentiment among the media, Phil, was surprise and maybe even somewhat shocked that Javonte was out there participating. Sean Payton, after practice, said he was a limited participant. And certainly he had some guys that we believe were not participating due to injury, and so Javonte did more than they did. He's only 7 months removed from this injury. That it was not just an ACL, Phil. He severely injured his knee. There were reports around that time, I think after he got surgery, that he might not be able to play in 2023 at all. And so the fact that he's out there already, and listen, I don't know what this means for the season. Obviously, they're not permitted in OTAs to have contact. So we're a long way from him being in a game. But the fact that it's the end of May and he's already out there doing stuff, it was surprising. Incredible news.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Obviously the Broncos want to be smart with him. They want to just take things slowly here. I think the player obviously wants to get back out there. Do you know what I mean? That's just sort of the natural instincts, like, hey, I got to get back out there. How do you think they play this here? I mean, obviously it was just one practice we saw today, but would you just like sort of just say, hey, let's just do a little bit of stuff here. And once we get to training camp, maybe we can ramp it up here. Or what do you think?
Yeah. And again, because we can't discuss exactly what he did, it's, we're not allowed to go into how much he did or all that stuff.
He was limited. We know that.
Obviously not a full participant. So they are managing him a little bit there. And I kind of think that, so Sean Payton said every day they get a report from the medical staff. This guy's full, this guy's limited, this guy's out. Javonte was limited. We don't know if he practiced yesterday. We don't know if he practiced Tuesday. We don't know if he'll practice next Tuesday when they're back.
But he was out there today.
He was out there today. So they could be doing every other practice. They could be doing one practice a week. We don't know exactly what so they could be playing it safe or holding him back. He could not do anything next week. And they could just be saying, hey, kind of let's get him out here on the field every once in a while. I would say that getting him out there now, if he's able and it's safe for him to do so, which I'm going to assume it is, otherwise he wouldn't be out there, is good from a mental standpoint, because I do think one of the issues coming back from a knee injury is you get to training camp and all of a sudden there's a time crunch. Even though you've got a month and a half until a game, you get pads on in like the first week of August, and all of a sudden you've got to get going. And we've seen guys like Bradley Chubb, I think KJ Hamler, right, where you come back and if it doesn't feel right away.
There's a mental side of it.
There's a mental side of it, but I think when you don't get on the field until August, I think there's like that ticking clock of I got to figure this out quick. I got to push myself to be ready. There's a ton of questions. Hey, when is this guy going to be back on the field? Is he going to be ready for week one? All this stuff. Yeah. And it becomes, I do think there's like a mental barrier.
And the pads are coming on in a couple of days. Like the ramp up is rapid.
Right. And then all of a sudden, if you want to participate, you've got to be in pads and you've got to be going.
You've got to be ready to go.
So if he's able to go now on a limited basis and kind of get over, obviously still not going to get hit yet, still not going to be going full speed, still not going to the ground.
Yeah.
But if you're able to get in there and be like, okay, I'm okay being around these bodies, going through this whole planting on my knee, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think it's good to overcome that barrier and give yourself some time where you say, okay, I've got an extra 4 weeks here where I can practice and get used to this. And then hopefully that makes the process when you get to August a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're being safe with him and they're taking a conservative approach. So it was surprising to see him out there. I just hope the last thing that you would want with Javonte is something else to happen or like a setback or something like that. So you just want to be really smart with him.
He looked good.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. That was surprising. That was really surprising. And by all accounts, the way that they've constructed this team, it does seem like running the football is going to be very important. So
yeah, and the makeup of the team with you have Javonte week one, very different than not having him. Obviously,
yeah,
it's not
Raiders revenge game, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe no Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
we'll have to see. He got the foot surgery.
Yeah, the foot surgery.
But yeah, Javonte, really good to see him back out there. We know he's been working hard for a long time to get back.
Yeah.
But 7 months.
It's incredible.
It kind of reminded me of like 2014, Chris Harris. He tears his ACL, the divisional round of the playoffs? That's January.
Yeah, against the Chargers, January. Yep, and he was back.
And he returned early in training camp, July 30th. That's just a little over 6 months. Like
it's not a competition.
These like ACL injuries are all different.
Yeah.
It's not.
But Javonte wasn't just ACL.
Yeah.
They said he shredded.
I don't know what else happened. Yeah. It was not good.
Something happened.
Something happened. It was not good.
Shout out to the surgeon.
Most definitely. Yeah, shout out. That's for later.
So, yeah, Javonte being out there is one thing. And then obviously our first chance to see Russell Wilson in this Sean Payton
He's on
offense.
the Eric Dalala diet. Yeah, just keeping it trim, tight.
Yeah.
That's what.
Mean and lean, I think you called it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got one of those.
Somebody. You're canceled, Swanson. I think Sean said after practice that Russ looked sharp. He looked good. Part of this process is going to be there are plays that look really good, and you see the potential, the flashes. I would say there were a couple of those that I saw today. Some nice throws from Russell Wilson. The flip side of that is not everything's going to be perfect in terms of knowing the offense, but obviously it's It's May. OTAs is just starting. There's been 3 of them. Got, 7 more to go, I believe.
Yeah. And then a little mini camp there to wrap
so
things
plenty
up.
more time. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I've said again and again, I'm not going to overreact to what happens in OTAs, but it's just nice to see kind of the first steps. And
you get a feel for, like, what's going on.
That Jerry Jeudy had a nice day working with Russ. And so those sorts of things are good to see at this point in the offseason.
This is the first time we've heard from Russell Wilson since Sean Payton was hired way back in February here. So, it was our first chance to just get his reaction to that.
Right.
He called Sean Payton one of the best coaches in the NFL. He called Sean Payton an excellent teacher, and I will say Russ did look a lot more fit out there, and he was moving around. He looked good. He looked nice, and they asked him exactly how many pounds he lost, and he was like, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah, he said he wasn't counting, which
because, of course, that would become a huge story, like, Russell Wilson, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but 12.2 pounds.
Exactly.
We don't need
he
to.
He looked good.
Yeah, he did.
It looked like that was a focus for him. And he did say, look, I'm trying to have the best offseason possible. And so it seems like he's had that focus and that dedication. And, later on in the day, we heard from Mike McGlinchey, and he called Russ the hardest working guy in the building. So by all accounts, Russ taking this offseason very seriously.
Yeah, and listen, we know outside of here and externally, there are a lot of questions about Russ, a lot of criticism. It's clear that he's not lost the faith of the guys in the locker room. It's clear that these new guys, Zach Allen, Mike McGlinchey, both of whom played against Russ because they were in the NFC West. They know what he's about. They believe in this guy. And then you pair him with Sean Payton, who's one of the best offensive minds in the history of the game. And it'll just be really exciting to see how that comes together. And it will be a process. At this time last year, there were a lot of questions to Nathaniel Hackett of how fast can this happen. I don't think the same questions have been asked yet to Sean Payton or Russ, just because when we haven't spoken with them as much. But 2, I think there's just this assumption that because it's Sean Payton, it's going to happen really fast. Happen. Yeah. And I agree to some extent. I would think it should be better than it was faster, given the lack of success last year. But
he's done this for a long time. He's taught a lot of players.
Yeah.
And there is something about the way that Sean speaks, like just even to the media, that it's like he's speaking in a way that like is helping you understand. Like there are like teacher qualities to the way he talks.
Yeah.
I get why Russ would be like he's a really good teacher. So, and they're installing a brand new offense. So that takes time.
Yeah, and some of the things, like I think Mike McGlinchey said, there are similar concepts to what he did with San Francisco in some ways, but it was like he's doing Rosetta Stone because it's a different language you've got to learn.
Is that what people still do with the Rosetta Stone? I thought there was a
Duolingo.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. There's a lot of apps out there. You do the translate. That's what I kind of.
Oh, you do that one? Yeah.
Maybe he could have his phone out there. Russ does the huddle, and he's just got his phone up in there, and then he's like, translate.
Oh yeah.
And then he puts it up. Yeah. And then he's like, then he goes to the line.
That could be good.
I don't know what you do with your phone during the play, but
stick it in your pocket.
Yeah. Maybe in your sock. Yeah, like T.O.
You get down in your stance, just slide it in the sock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Could be easy.
What is that? That's my translate. Or he could have one of the wristbands.
Oh, the wristbands.
Just have the phone in there. Yeah.
It's possible.
What's that?
Yeah, wristbands.
Yeah. Harder on the road,
very
controversial.
But
still possible.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those were my 2 kind of main takeaways from this.
Most definitely.
This first OTA session.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Russ and Javonte. Those all eyes were around those 2 guys out there. So, and you know what I like about OTAs? It's the first time that the rookies are out on the field with the grown men, the veterans there, and that's it's always interesting. Like, hey, how does when Drew Sanders is out there with all the other rookies? He looks a little bit different than some of those guys. What does he look like when he's out there with the vets?
Yeah,
I thought he looked like he fit it right in.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and it was fun to see some of the free agents that the Broncos got that we haven't seen out there.
Exactly.
Marquez Callaway, McGlinchey,
Zach Allen, we saw out there.
Big guy.
Yeah. Ben Powers.
Yep. Yeah, Draymond Smith.
What do you think about McGlinchey? He said that he felt like the offensive line has a lot of talent.
Well, they've got
going to be key for this.
They've got what, 2 first-round picks?
Yeah. Well, they got the Bull. Yeah, they got Bulls and then McGlinchey.
Yep, that's 2.
That's the 2. They got the Lloyd Cushenberry, Sir
Lloyd Cushenberry, Quinn Miners
in the middle there.
And then
Quinn
Ben
Miners.
Powers. I'm not sure when he was.
I think he was a 4th round.
4th?
4th.
Yeah, 4th.
Nice.
I do my homework.
Yeah. So they've got talented guys, and it's about putting it together. I mean, this time last year, you also would have said, hey, they got some good players on that line. Didn't pan out the way they wanted. So, I liked when Mike McGlinchey, he was asked about last year and how many sacks they gave up. And he said, I'm not here to talk about last year, but there are 2 jobs for the offensive line. One is to run block, and 1B is to keep the quarterback off the ground. And he said that no matter what system he's in, it's his job to be as good as he possibly can to do those 2 things.
Yeah, you got to keep Russell Wilson healthy.
Yep.
Got to get him out on the field, so keep him out there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the start of OTAs this week here for the Broncos, and really our first look at this team. Certainly a lot's going to change before training camp and then the regular season. Sean Payton even said that. And that was in relation to our second topic. Transition. Topic number 2 here, talking about Brandon McManus. He obviously is now a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He is?
Jaguars. And now the Broncos have to find a kicker. And Sean Payton was asked about that today. And he said, look, we're always looking to make changes to this team. We're in the process of maybe adding some other players. And, that's just part of the deal is that you got to make changes and free up space wherever you can. So that's what happened with Brandon McManus.
Yeah, obviously made a lot of big kicks for this team. Second leading scorer in franchise history. Just honestly was not quite as his percentage went down last year. I think dipped below 80% for the first time in 5 years, something like that. So it was not as efficient. Obviously, I think from beyond 50, it wasn't as good as you would like it to be. So from that standpoint, and then also you talk about from a financial standpoint, if you want to add quality free agent players at this point, and you can free up some cap space, that's a big part of it. So yeah, I would imagine both those things probably went into it. And you're right. Now they got to find a kicker, and there's some veteran guys out there. There's been some reports about potential tryouts for the Broncos. Nothing official yet in terms of who they're signing or how those workouts went. But listen, I think that there are a lot of good kickers in this league. I think you're gonna be able to find somebody. And if you're able to, not to discount the importance of a kicker, because obviously you need somebody to make those clutch plays, but if you feel like, hey, we need another defensive lineman and there's a veteran out there, or we need another pass rusher and there's a guy out there, seems like that's a better use of resources just from a team building standpoint.
Yeah, I think that you address hey, there's some needs out there. Maybe there's a guy you got your eye on and you're like, okay, well, how can we make this possible?
Yeah.
Then you got to make a move somehow, So we wish Brandon McManus well, obviously, moving forward. You get to know a guy after a while. He did a lot of stuff with anti-bullying while he was here. That was obviously a big cause to him. And, the Broncos don't win Super Bowl 50 without some of those clutch kicks.
Of course not.
So the kicker is always that kind of position where you don't necessarily think about them all the time. But then when it's their time to go,
sure,
you almost expect automatic makes. You're like, well, you got to make this. And when that's your job, that is sort of the deal, right?
And there were some issues last year.
Yeah, and it wasn't
necessarily always his fault.
No, but it wasn't like that Super Bowl 50 year.
Right.
Where he was making everything, and you just asked him to go do it, and he did it.
No.
It wasn't, he wasn't quite at that same level.
And I don't know, this probably doesn't have much to do with it at all, but I do think, they are turning over a new chapter, and
yes,
slowly Super Bowl 50 guys have left, and I think the fact that now you've got a bunch of hungry guys who have not achieved that level of success, maybe it just helps.
Yeah. And, the Broncos have a new special teams coaches that they really trust in here.
Yep.
Some guys, Westhoff, Katwika, that they are trusting. Like they've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of years, a lot of miles under their belt. They're trusting these guys that they'll be able to come in and find a kicker here. So you bring some tryout guys in, maybe they have some relationships with guys. That seems to be sort of part of the process too, is like, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows this guy. We're going to bring him in.
Right.
So it's a small special teams world out there, it feels like.
Yeah. And they'll find the right guy. And it might be, you might have a couple guys in training camp compete. We'll have to see how it goes. But
there are veterans. If you're wondering, like, well, who are the veterans that are out there? Mason Crosby is out there. Maybe some kickoff issues at this point in his career, but he's really a reliable guy, a former Buff. Sorry about that. I think Ryan Suckup is still out there.
Brett Mayer.
Yep. Robbie Gold is out there. So I think that there's some guys who are out there who've played a lot of games in the NFL. So
yeah. There's some options.
Yeah, there's options, and then maybe they go in a different direction. They get a younger guy, something like that. So they'll be able to do it.
They'll have a kicker.
They'll have some options. Yeah. So wonder if they have a guy out there who they have in mind to bring in that they had to make this move for. So
well, and you saw like Jacksonville released their kicker.
Exactly, because
they traded him.
Oh, did they?
I think that just came out. Yeah, they traded him to somebody.
Oh, got
Minnesota, maybe.
It is a small. Well, who is Minnesota's kicker? Boom.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Somebody knows.
Dominoes.
I don't know.
Start falling. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about here on this episode of the Neutral Zone, Eric, jersey numbers. You saw these guys out there in their jerseys today for the first time. Zach Allen wearing 99.
Yep.
His old friend, obviously, J.J. Watt, wore 99 in Arizona. And then one noticeable number out there was Jonathon Cooper wearing 0. Of course, now you can wear 0.
Yep.
And I'm just interested, do you think that fits a defensive end like him, a pass rusher? What do you think of when you think of the number 0?
Well, it's new, right? Because they made the rule. Everybody can wear it except a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman because he's a linebacker. He's eligible. I mean, it looks cool. We'll have to. I think you've got to play up to a certain level once you get that number. Maybe it inspires you to play well. He's been kind of a depth guy. Had a good game against Dallas a couple years ago. We'll have to see kind of how the outside linebacking room develops. Obviously, Baron Browning was not there today. Sean Payton said that he's been in contact with Baron, but we don't. Sean's not going to get into those sorts of things, so we don't know exactly what's going on there. But Cooper was called into action last year. If he's able to play well, it'll be very cool. A guy getting a sack wearing 0.
Do you think that 0 needs to be like reserved for a guy? Of course, Deion Sanders up in CU has been talking about single digits.
Yeah.
And the importance, like you got to be that guy to wear a single digit. Do you think about single digits that way, or is that that's not a big thing to you?
Well, the way the NFL is set up, that's still kind of a new rule. And so I don't know that it's as big a deal in the NFL. And I would say for Cooper, it's probably less about like, it's a single digit and more that he wore 0 at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And at Ohio State, I think they gave that number out as like the
Special.
block O for, a captain, a guy that was a type of guy that people looked
Leader.
up to. Exactly. And so for him to get that back, there's probably an emotional connection there too.
It gives him some confidence.
So I'd imagine it's less about, let me wear
Flash.
0 because it's flashy. Let me wear it because I earned that Ohio State and it'd be cool for me to go back to that.
Now, we should mention that if guys want to switch jersey numbers and they've got all these jerseys out there, they have to pay some of that, right, Eric? That's sort of how that
My understanding
works.
that if you want to, so Jerry Jeudy, for example, has talked about going from 10 to 4.
Which he wore at Alabama.
Yep. If he wanted to go to 4 immediately, he would have to buy all the merchandise that's printed with Jeudy 10. So jerseys, T-shirts. I don't know exactly how much that is, but presumably it's not an insignificant amount. My understanding is that if he were to give, or any player were to give a year's notice, and he were to say in 2024 I want to wear 0 or wear 4, he would be able to do that without any penalty.
Yeah.
The issue with doing that, or the difficulty at least, is that.
But if they sign a guy comes in,
you don't know if someone's going to be wearing 4.
Yeah.
You know, I think Jared Stidham is wearing it now.
He's wearing 4. Yeah.
If Jared Stidham decides I don't want to give up 4, then
you're in a weird
then
spot.
Then you're in a tough spot. So
yeah.
we
And
have
plus, like, what if some kid just got this fresh orange 10 Jerry Jeudy, and then he opens it up, he's like, yeah, and then they're like, actually, that's not his number.
And we saw KJ Hamler do that, right? Because he went from 13 to 1 over the course of an offseason. So presumably he had to pay that out.
Pay it out.
I would assume there's less KJ Hamler merch out there than Jerry Jeudy. And again, with Jonathon Cooper, I would assume that he had to pay that out. But there's probably not a ton of pre-made Jonathon Cooper jerseys that he's got to buy up.
That's true. So maybe this leads to a little spark for him.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
And I do think J.L. Skinner wore that number.
He wore 0 at Boise
college.
State. Boise.
And, we'll have to, obviously all these numbers are subject to change before the start of the regular season. Guys across the roster who are vets and had their first choice of numbers before certain guys who are signed or before rookies, maybe they get cut. They're not with the team. You can switch ahead of the season. So
Riley Moss was asked, hey, why'd you choose your number? He goes, I don't know. They just gave me this.
Yeah. I think J.L. Skinner did a tweet that suggested that maybe the rookies were just assigned numbers.
Yeah.
He's 46 at the moment.
That could change. The rookies could change before the season.
Yeah, it's possible. And I don't know if like you look at Marvin Mims, for example, there's not that many numbers to choose from.
That's true.
So
at that point, he's number 83.
He's number 83 right now, but a lot of the teens are taken.
Yeah, it's taken.
So I don't know if maybe there's a guy that
prime real estate. Those teens. Yeah.
So 83 is not a bad number.
No, Wes Welker.
Yeah,
it's a great number. Yeah. What do you think about guys who with their autograph it has a number included in that? Would that be your thing? Would you be
makes
like
it
Eric
difficult
DeLoa?
for us over here because we like to take a photo of the guy signing.
Yeah.
And then they sign with their number, and then we got to Photoshop the number out.
Yeah.
So we can't.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would you be that kind of? If you were a player, would you put your number in there?
So.
Yeah.
I think it's good for a fan because you get a bunch of autographs during a day, and maybe you're not sure.
You don't know what
whose
happened.
is who.
Yeah, number.
You're like, oh look, there's number 3. That's Russ.
Totally.
Does Russ do 3 in his?
I don't think so. I think he does a Bible verse. I think. Yeah. You could do like Eric DeLisle, a little microphone for the podcast. NZ. Eric
like there is
DeLisle,
a
NZ.
little 3
in there.
Little 3. Oh.
It's nice.
Yeah, like John Elway 7. You're like, that's an iconic signature. You know that one. I don't think Peyton does 18.
Peyton does an interesting thing when he signs, where if he does a message, he puts it in quotes.
Oh, got it.
Like he'll do like Peyton
from
Manning.
someone else, like Muhammad Ali.
No, like he'll do Peyton Manning, and then he'll put like best wishes, but best wishes is in quotes.
Why do you think he does that?
I don't know. It's interesting. I've always kind of wondered.
Yeah, ask him next time.
Why do you do this?
Yeah. What's going on with the signature?
Yeah, this is just a Google search, so no idea if this is accurate. But it looks like he does have 18 in his.
Oh,
well, you don't know anything.
Wrong again. Well, guess what? Wrong again.
But it varies.
Okay. Nice. Anything else you want to say on the jersey number?
What did you think about Jim Irsay not having Peyton Manning in his top 5?
Oh, I didn't see that. What did he say?
He ranked his top 5 NFL players of all time.
Of all time?
All time. And he had Elway in there, but not Peyton.
Oh.
Then he clarified.
Irsay had an Elway in there.
Yeah, but not Peyton.
Wow.
Then he had to clarify.
Kind of interesting that Irsay would have a.
I get it.
You got that, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, got it. You're kind of stuck on the Peyton, but the Elway's also interesting.
The Peyton's more interesting, right?
Yeah, of course. And what did he say? Just oversight?
Well, no, he said.
He had
oh, maybe you're wrong.
I'm not
I'm
wrong.
looking at the tweet here.
Once I don't know.
He said, my tweaks to my top 5.
Oh, he
tweaked.
Yeah.
Make a little tweak.
Before
that's
that,
not good enough.
He had Brady and Elway in the top 5. But Brady was not number 1.
Oh.
I think Jim Brown might have been number 1. I think that's how this all.
That's
kind of how this all
Jim
came
Brown's
about.
number 1.
Brady.
Number 2, neck and neck between Brady and Peyton. So I guess
this is post.
You're
this
not
is the
looking.
tweak.
Look
I want
at the
original.
pre-tweak.
Give me the OG.
Pre-tweak.
Pre-tweak.
All right, pre-tweak. Jim Brown, Tom Brady, John Elway, Deacon Jones, Reggie White.
Wow. No Peyton Manning.
Then he did a tweet that said that if you talk about the impact on a franchise, then Peyton Manning's number one.
What?
He must have gotten a call from Mr. Manning.
Several lists.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very strange.
Then this
I don't know how much
this
I read
other
into
version
his
has Jerry
tweets.
Rice, number 5.
Too many tweaks here.
A lot of-
I think.
yeah.
A top 5 is nice when it's like actually 15 guys.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, T5.
They're my top 5 guys. Yeah. Yeah, neck and neck, either or. I saw Mahomes did his top 5 quarterbacks of all time. He had Elway.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Who do you have
Well,
one?
he said
Brady?
number 5, it said Dan or John.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Neck and neck as well.
I don't know how you do that.
Fake.
One guy has
So what? He had
2
Brady, I assume.
Super Bowls.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Do you have himself in there?
No, he didn't. No.
Oh, Brady, Manning,
Yeah. Who else did he have? Because we're looking it up.
Joe Montana,
Joe Montana. I said Joe Montana.
Johnny Unitas.
Did he have Johnny Unitas? He might have.
I don't think he had them ranked necessarily, but he said
Here's your top 5, just
his quote
not in order.
was just Tom, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana, and then it gets down to Dan Marino or John Elway to round off your top 5.
That's his quote. Yeah, interesting. Aaron Rodgers, top 5 quarterback all time.
Huh.
Interesting.
Johnny Unitas.
I wonder why he
Nobody's-
thought that.
I wonder why he thought that.
Chargers quarterback, Johnny Unitas?
Yeah, exactly.
Legendary.
Famed Chargers quarterback.
Yeah, I know. That's interesting. Yeah. Maybe for another podcast, we can go long. We can do like a 3-hour on our top 5.
It's hard to. I mean, if you're talking about most accomplished, it's hard to not say it's Tom, obviously.
Yeah, the Super Bowls kind of put you into.
But if you're just talking about most talented, I think you can argue it's somebody that's not Tom.
You mean physical skills?
Yeah, like physical.
What they could do with the ball out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think
Or just like you watch them play and you're like amazed.
Wow. Yeah.
Like Tom would just dink and dunk you
Yes.
and just crush your soul.
Yes.
But it wasn't like he wasn't like running around doing crazy things where you were like, oh my God, this guy's amazing.
I think if you use that category, like John and Mahomes are like in a different sort of.
But I think watching like Prime Manning too, you were like, gosh, he just
physically, he kind of crushed your soul the same way that Tom did.
But he could put up points in a way that.
Yeah. But it's not like he would drop back.
He would just
scramble to the right.
Yeah,
it wasn't there. Looped back around.
But
threw across his body.
He would just cut like dice you up.
Yeah.
His
accuracy was
He made
insane.
some throws that are just. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that his unrelenting, like, it felt like sometimes like Prime Manning, if you didn't score every possession, you were done.
Yeah.
Because you just knew he was going to.
Yeah.
That's how, like, from a Broncos perspective, those Broncos teams that played Manning in the wild cards, those back-to-back years, you're like, you're toast.
Over. Yeah.
That's what makes that AFC Championship run so painful is because the Steelers beat Manning, and you're like, thank goodness we don't have to play this guy.
Yeah.
And they still lost.
Bummer.
The path was there. The road was there.
Path was there, yeah.
Yeah.
Seattle.
That could have been All right. Well, I think we got a voicemail this week.
Okay.
I believe it's Zach with a C calling in, one of our longtime leavers of voicemails. And why don't we fire it away? Swanson, go ahead.
Guys, it's Zach with the C, man. We saw we released Brandon McManus. That guy's that guy he's a good kicker, man. And I know we're trying to replace him with Ben Swanson. And I don't know that that's a good idea because he won't even show up every week for the podcast. We sure we got his vacation schedule in for this fall? Because if he doesn't show up and we don't got a kicker, I don't even know. Then you got to get Phil out there with the cleat, and Phil's got to try to kick the ball. And I don't know if that works. Anyhow, roll country!
Thank you very much, Zach with a C with the nay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's, you can hear his kid in the background there. if he's working on, hey, what sound does a Bronco make? Nay.
Yeah.
You learn those things.
How old's the kid these days?
I don't know how. A year?
Year and a half?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Zach, let us know how old
we've grown with the kid.
Let us know how old
relationship
Bucky is.
Bucky? Oh yeah,
I think his kid's name's Bucky.
Bucky.
And hello to Mrs. Zach, who sometimes listens.
Of course.
Thanks for listening.
She's a Ravens fan, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Panthers, Ravens.
I thought it was Ravens. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, you don't want to see me kick a field goal.
No. Think of your back.
I don't think you could bring your leg back.
You see the hamstrings get all tight and they connect to the lower back. So when you try to kick, it pulls your lower back in.
The leg bone's connected to the knee bone.
Yeah, exactly. Makes you think.
Yeah.
I'd be good for one kick and then I'm done.
Yeah. Phil, speaking of like the leg bones connected to the knee bone.
Yeah.
And the child that we just heard. What's your favorite like kids song?
My favorite kids song, probably "Wheels on the Bus."
Wheels on the Bus.
Yeah, "Wheels on the
That's
Bus."
a good one.
My son, of course, is obsessed with that.
You listen to that?
About 100 times a day.
You do the
bus.
He says bus.
Bus. Yep.
Maybe he's calling you boss.
No, I don't think so. Dad, bus, please, bus, please.
He says please.
Yeah, please. Oh, I make him say please, and then he starts.
Like, say please.
Yeah, and then he says it. Yeah. So
big Jerome Bettis guy.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, exactly. We gotta get him on a TD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not forget the bus.
Javonte.
Javonte needs his own song, and then maybe get it going. Yeah. Well, what was your favorite? Little Itsy Bitsy Spider, maybe going?
Spider's scary. I like a nice little Twinkle Twinkle.
Twinkle Twinkle. Yeah, that's nice.
Swanson?
I think the boys are back in town.
That's true. Yeah, that's.
I can't think of anything.
You don't know any?
You don't know any children's songs?
The alphabet song, same theme as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Wow. Blowing my mind.
Melody, not theme. Yeah, melody.
Different theme. The theme. One theme is letters. The other theme is stars.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Same melody.
Ring Around the Rosie. Would you consider that a song or more of a rhyme?
No, I think that's a song. How about Row, Row, Row Your Boat?
My Little Teapot?
Yeah.
That's probably Swanson's
Rockabye
favorite.
Baby?
Yeah. Swanson, give us your best little teapot pose.
Pose?
Tip.
Well, you got to say something so that you can see it on camera.
Out.
There we go.
There we go.
So you got to tip over.
Screenshot it?
Tip over.
Come on, Swanson.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. We got it. Eric, I think it's time for shout-outs.
I think so, too.
Yeah, we've reached that point in the show. Anybody you'd like to?
We'll shut up in Swanson. It's his birthday.
It is his birthday. That's true.
We chatted about him already, so I don't want to get too overboard, but
a shout-out
we appreciate Ben Swanson.
Yes. Congratulations.
You don't look a
It's
day
an honor
over
to be on the
55.
show.
You've made it this far.
These gray hairs have come with this show.
Earned. Suffered.
Yeah. Endured.
How about to the
Nuggets? My gosh.
Yeah, to the Nuggets.
Nikola
Jokic, of course, the MVP of the Western Conference Finals. Eric, how are you feeling? Sad, are you going to hop on now with us?
Are you going to retire? Are you thinking about retiring?
Hey, listen,
you might not.
I think it'd be fake to, at this point, hop on the bandwagon.
Oh.
I
think there's room. You could just say, hey, I was wrong. I
would love to see them win the title.
I can appreciate their greatness.
No, I'm going to be a hater. So I'm going to root for Hemi Butler. I'm going to be a hater.
I mean, I like Jimmy, but
I'm going to be a hater. Of course, before I came to the Denver Broncos, Phil, I worked in Miami covering the Miami Heat.
Yeah. You did that long feature on Pat Riley, right?
Yep.
That was you.
I did that one.
You obviously had the same hairstyle there for a while.
One with Dwayne Wade.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
ESPN.
Yeah.
Also does coverage.
Non-traditional.
Dwayne, yeah. Non-traditional spelling of Dwayne.
It's true.
You bonded.
So you're going to... Of course,
I don't think any...
As we're recording this, Miami has not punched their ticket.
Okay, here's it. If the Celtics come back and win, I'm going to cheer for the Nuggets.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I don't like the whole Celtics thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the Celtics thing.
The Nuggets have looked really, really good, but there's more work to do.
That's true. 4 more games.
Yeah. So I think how do you handle a conference championship, Eric? Like even for the Broncos, like
no, I handle it.
Like moving, like
what's your mentality?
Gosh, if the Broncos won a conference championship, I'd be running through the streets.
Yeah, it's hard because you're happy, But there's like more to do, you know? Like you can't get too happy.
Job's not done yet.
So I think
you gotta still have an edge to you, but you kind of let down for a second to like celebrate, and then you got to build that wall back up.
Like there's obviously the Super Bowl that shall not be named in 2013.
No, I don't know.
People almost don't even, that season's not discussed around here.
Correct.
Because
it's like you don't even
it's
think
so
about it.
hurtful.
It's discussed.
But I think if
Disgusting.
Discussed.
like if this year's team made it to the Super Bowl and lost, I think you'd still view that as like a huge,
So it depends on the team.
Right, because the expectations were so high with Peyton.
Yeah.
I think there was something to be, or it felt like a missed opportunity, right?
That year.
Where we got to get one. Whereas like this year, if you made it all the way to the Super Bowl, I think you'd be like, wow, we way overachieved in terms of expectations.
Expectations now, but I'm a firm believer that like expectations change. So like if you win the conference championship, your expectations are to win the Super Bowl.
Sure.
You know, so.
But like if the Nuggets don't win the finals, are you going to look at this season as a failure?
I don't want to. I don't even want to. I don't want to. I don't want to entertain that thought at the moment. I would say no, it's not. I mean, it's my expectations now are to win the finals. And if
it's not a failure.
It is a failure. Yeah,
okay.
Well, I don't know.
Especially
It's
if
the
they
first
face
time in
an
franchise.
8 seed.
That's really hard. That's
Face an 8 seed.
That's a hard thing to
would be
think about
hard.
because you want to. It's a major accomplishment. They made the finals first time in franchise history. I don't know.
Giannis would be disgusted at you right now for even considering that it'd be a
hard.
failure.
I mean,
this
it's
is
hard.
the
You want
best
to
Nuggets team in franchise history.
Yeah. You want to celebrate that, but you also recognize that like it doesn't mean much unless you win it all.
Yeah, but I think you're not going to like this. Oh, I should be careful here. The Carolina Panthers, for example, they're the sort of franchise that I think they're like, oh, we made it to a Super Bowl. That's great because they haven't had a ton of success.
But they probably don't really talk about that. I bet you they don't talk about Super Bowl 50.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
What do you mean?
You do?
Like fans probably look back.
Fans are still like
they're hyped over that year.
They're not hyped about it, but they view it as a massive missed opportunity.
No,
but that's what I'm saying. It's not a success.
But do they view that season as a success?
I don't think so. I don't think they view it in the same way as they do.
03?
Yeah, 38 was it?
The Dome.
The Janet.
Oh yeah, I was like, who? Oh, yeah. I don't think they view it in that same way. Like, I mean, plus there's something to be said about just like
that was their first one. Yeah, so maybe this is like the 38.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be a bummer.
Sure. Yeah,
well, like they were facing like the defending champs.
It would be fine if the Nuggets win. I'm not actively like, oh, they can't win.
I think the nice thing is
I want you to be upset.
They have the 9 days, so you can celebrate for a little and then get back locked in.
Jokic could go back to Serbia for a few days and see his horses if he wants.
Michael Malone's going to have him locked in. I think so.
You go back and see the horses, or you stay here?
Stay here.
Okay.
He's going to swim in his pool if it's sunny. That's what he said.
Not sunny right now.
No, rain. A lot of rain.
Yeah.
So okay, and shout out to Liz Gerald.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
Community.
Wouldn't really be a show.
I went to a community event this week. How about that?
Stop the presses. What? Hold the phone.
Yeah, we should have led off the top of this.
Yeah. You did.
Urban Peak. Some Broncos players, Justin Simmons, Lloyd Cushenberry III.
Yep.
A sir.
Sir, of course.
Demaria Crockett. They all went to Urban Peak to talk about mental health with some youth who are experiencing homelessness. It's a nice deal.
That's nice.
Emotional,
yeah,
raw. And I was there to cover it.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah, shout out to Eric Dahl. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week. We'll probably talk about OTAs again.
Probably.
Some
Russ
observations
again
next week. Maybe some Russ too. Yeah. Who knows what could happen?
We don't.
Maybe they'll have a new kicker by then.
They could. I would think so.
We really don't really know. Yeah, you got to get one in there.
Yeah.
Hard to practice without the kicker.
Well,
you got to do some special things. Maybe you just have the machine.
The jugs.
Yeah, you just. Yeah. So they should just have a machine out there during the games, just like the guy operating the machine is the skill.
We're
you know,
getting there.
You're like, okay,
got rid of kickoffs, so
yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, a robot maybe just zzz, and then try to kick it. I don't know.
What
Could be the
number would
future.
it be?
How far away? How far away do you think they could make a field goal from?
That's a good question. You know those like robots that swing the golf ball?
Coach.
You know, like it's like
48-yard
testing
line?
the club, and it's just like,
Can hit it.
You think they do that from the 48 or no?
probably further. Yeah, I think they could. Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll see.
Late game, you know,
Yeah.
you need a long one.
Yeah.
Wheel out the robot.
Number 10100.
Yeah. Their number is just a binary code.
Yeah. They got to be a single digit.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. This has been a very silly episode, but hopefully you enjoyed it. For Ben Swanson and Eric Dahl, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.